Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Abdullah Zahiri. I'm the CEO of Flicron, along with my team. Can we have the presentation, please? Okay, thank you. Flicron is a micro-influencers marketplace. Why Flicron? Because the companies now, when they want to make social media campaigns, they have faced difficulty in finding proper influencers. They have to select them individually, negotiate with them individually, and also negotiate the terms. Flicron solves this problem by, we have created a portal for brand managers, clients, and an application for the influencers to use. Our process is the brand manager upload their campaign, notification goes to the influencer through the application, and influencers put their bids. If they are approved, they start, the campaign is started. We monitor the campaign. We make sure that the influencers have done their job properly and the client is satisfied. After the campaign is done, we provide the clients with report analytics on the impact of the campaign. This is the market size. As you have you can see how it leaped from 2017. This is Saudi Arabia market to 2018, and we are expecting the same in 2019. Our business model, currently we sell packages to clients for ready-made content and customized content. In 2019, we will start the subscription for also brand managers and clients, and we will start commissions schemes. Our competition in Saudi Arabia, we have direct and indirect competitors. Most of our indirect competition will be our partners. In fact, they will be our alliances. So we are not really worried about that. Why Flicron? Flicron is the first in the Saudi Arabian market. We are very adapted to any new technology. Whatever our clients want to use, any social media portal, we can adapt that to our application. This is what our investment, if we receive funding, this is what we are going to do. We will do partnerships with like advertisement agencies. We will go around and do education about the micro-influencer.
So it's an interesting space that you're operating in. Okay, that's actually what I was going to ask. How have you been generating revenues, and how has that been growing over the past couple of months? And where do you see most of your product market fit? What are the customers like that are using your product?
The first question is how we are going to generate?
Yes, how are you generating revenues, and how has that been growing?
Can I go back, guys? Yeah, here. Currently, we sell packages, so the client can choose from ready-made content that they have or customized content. So we make the campaign, the pictures, the videos, whatever they want. This is what we're selling. Later on, we are developing another service now with subscription for clients, and later on commissions for referrals. So this will be our source of income.
So right now it's all through the partnerships. How much of it is the client providing the content versus you developing the content? Because you developing the content is not very scalable, I would imagine.
That's why we are, we are providing this. But at the moment, this is all of the demands is in the packages.
Okay.
So we are going with that.
How much have you generated in the last month, and how's that been growing?
The last 2 months, this is what we have generated so far. If you see there, it's actually more. This is not updated. In the last 2 months, since the beginning of 2019, about 200,000.
Well, to follow on that question about the scalability, if you're seeing most of the demand focused on the packages, what's your plan to shift that demand towards the scalable model?
That's a very difficult question. Well, from what we have seen, as I have showed you earlier, we haven't seen anything that necessitate different packages or services we are providing. So we're going with this.
So you think
for scalability even.
Does that mean you're going to have to scale 1-to-1 in terms of your team size as you're scaling revenue, or do you see that there's some other thing that will unfold that will allow that packages segment to be scalable?
We have so many factors influencing this decision. One of that is the talent. So acquiring talent also will make us maybe change this.
Abdullah.
Okay, there we go. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Salam alaikum. My name is Sophie Smith. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Nabta Health. Nabta is a hybrid healthcare platform for women. Our mission is to empower the 500 million women in the MENA region, that's the Middle East, Africa, and Southern Asia, to more effectively manage their health. Before I start the pitch, I'd like you to forget what you know about healthcare, because what we're proposing is an entirely new model. And our aim ultimately is to make healthcare affordable and accessible for all women in the region. We're focused on 5 main problem areas. Outlined above, for now predominantly focused on infertility. Women's health, as I'm sure you're aware, is a globally under-researched effort. And we're working in a region that has some of the worst stats on female empowerment and education in the world. For example, 80% of breast cancers here are diagnosed at stage 4, which is terminal. 40% of women don't attend a single antenatal appointment. And there's about a 1 to 1,000 ratio for every research paper that has been completed on women's health issues, as opposed to gender-neutral or male-specific health issues. Globally, we've seen a significant decline in the fertility rate over the past 25 years, nowhere more so than in the GCC. 70% of female-related infertility issues are due to something called polycystic ovarian syndrome, and about 60% of these are related to a metabolic disorder such as diabetes or obesity, the reason that we're focusing on fertility for now. The problem as we see it is that fundamentally there is no way for women at the moment to connect their wellness to their health, to their medical data. What this means is that there is no way for me to see how my sleep may be affecting my stress levels, could be impacting my cycle length, which may or may not be due to the fact that I've developed insulin resistance, which could be affecting my hormone levels, etc., etc. And without these connections, there's no way for women to action any of the insights that they get and to solve the problems that they have. So what does a hybrid care pathway look like? Firstly, what we're not trying to do is completely replace traditional care. Instead, we're taking 5 key virtual care components and integrating them into traditional care pathways. These are mobile apps, smart medical devices, smart tests, virtual consultations, and machine learning. We have 3 mobile apps that we're working on at the moment. The main one is the Nabta app, which I'll come on to in a second. And everything in the context of this first care pathway that we're looking at, which is the diagnosis of fertility issues. The Nabta app is a 4-mode app that allows women to either get fit and healthy, track their cycle with a specific mode for trying to conceive, monitor a pregnancy or prepare for menopause. We decided to combine the functions into a single app because they are sequential. You will never be simultaneously monitoring a pregnancy and also preparing or tracking your cycle. They're underpinned.
Sorry to interrupt, Sophie. That's 3 minutes.
I thought we had 5.
3 minutes. Actually, you have 6. 3 minutes for the pitch and 3 minutes for them to grill you. But you can have another minute if you like, because if we haven't explained the rules properly, you have another minute if you like.
Cool, that would be great.
But we'll have 2 minutes questions.
Okay.
Sorry.
So they're underpinned by 2 bits of machine learning. The first powers a personal health assistant, Saaya, whose job it is to provide users with insights, information, and recommendations that are personalized for them. The second is a health score that is based on about 250 weighted parameters, and it changes in the context of what the individual is trying to achieve. If the individual wants to lose weight, then they get a basic health score that is adjusted accordingly. If they want to conceive, then we'll apply additional fertility parameters over the top. And what this means is that then we give them very specific recommendations in terms of the smart medical devices we refer them to, the smart tests, which are home test kits that they can use at home. Either they get the results instantly or they send off for them. In terms of the virtual consultations and the OB-GYNs that we would recommend, or the clinicians we would recommend for them to see, and then in terms of how we would configure their score and update it on an ongoing basis. This is a very briefly, not as briefly as it could be, but briefly a user's experience of hybrid healthcare. This is our market. It's a multi-market opportunity, $4.2 trillion. We're targeting the 4 segments listed at the bottom. That's briefly our revenue model. We make money from subscriptions to the platform, from the sale of our hybrid products and services, and also through affiliate marketing. And that's an old slide, but that's basically how our revenue targets over the next 3 years are distributed by segment.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Round of applause for Sophie. Thank you very much. Right, judges, over to investors, dragons, sharks, over to you.
Hello. So very interesting idea for many different reasons. My question to you is, if you were to identify the biggest single largest risk for your company not to succeed, and you cannot say funding, what would it be, and how will you plan to mitigate that?
I think the biggest single risk for us is that the concept of hybrid healthcare is a very new one. And we're trying to launch the platform in a region where there's still a very traditional outlook where healthcare is concerned. So people invest in clinics, they invest in brick and mortar. Maybe now more recently they invest in telehealth. But what we are proposing is an entirely new model of healthcare that is a value-based care model. So the idea is that we prioritize patient health over anything else, over the commercialization of healthcare, over keeping people sick as opposed to keeping people healthy. So we're fighting a current and also trying to introduce a new concept in a market that is still new to the idea of health tech.
Thanks.
Just one more question for Sophie.
Yeah, I think my main question is really around how are you going to actually go out and capture your potential customers, because you mentioned it very clearly, right? So most women in this region, or a large portion of women, they only get diagnosed, for instance, with breast cancer at a very late stage. And so if connecting or if their understanding of their own health is really hurt, how do you plan on getting them on board with such a new concept, which is already very far away from what they are familiar with?
So all of our marketing so far has been digital marketing and purely B2C. So we reach our customers in a number of different ways. We run quarterly awareness campaigns that are focused on specific women's health issues. We have Facebook groups that we've set up to support different segments of those issues, and we've seen amazing traction through them. So we've engaged almost 10 million women since we launched the platform 18 months ago. Because of the way that we have built the platform, it's entirely personalized and also built to accommodate a user's circumstances. So we would not recommend to them things that they could not afford. We would recommend things to them that were in their price range and price bracket, and we would recommend them in language and on terms that they understand.
Hello friends. So we are Loktra. We are a complete banking operating system to launch any financial institute or any financial services. So if you are having a banking license or any kind of license in terms of financial services, and you want to launch your service, you'll come on the Loktra platform, you'll use your license, and then you'll choose all your integrations, and everything, and then you will launch your bank, and from the next day onwards, you can provide your services or the complete backend of your services for the customers. So today, the major problem which is happening is that in a banking industry, there are multiple softwares, multiple technologies which are being used. There are CRMs, core banking system, credit bureaus, KYC, ML systems, and banks need to incorporate system integrators to integrate all these services, which takes a lot of implementation time. So if suppose in a bank, you need to incorporate any new services, the sales cycle is typically 1 to 2 months, and the implementation cycle is again a 6 months to 1 year. So the complete implementation time takes somewhere close to 1.5 years. And then also the service can be successful or can be a failure. So for this, we have developed the platform, we call it banking operating system, that has pre-integrated applications to run complete retail financial institute. So this is majorly the marketplace. This marketplace is similar to Google Play Store or Apple App Store, where you can integrate all the apps available on the marketplace. So in this case, if suppose you are having 2 credit bureaus and you want to change the credit bureau for the bank, you can just click and deploy the credit bureau, and the credit bureau's service will get changed. So the change in the service will be as quick as just clicking and deploying it. Why we are doing it now? There are 2 major reasons. First is the open banking, because the APIs, because the banks are now becoming more conducive of grabbing in APIs, and because of the cloud adoption. Earlier, this needed to be done for each and every banking institute, but with the adoption of cloud, we can have a centralized platform, a centralized operating system. Total addressable market, this market is very big. Since we are in the banking IT, which globally is a $500 billion market. Now the business model for this particular, for the development of the complete banking operating system, which is a very big task, we have divided the problem into 3 parts, which is basically discover. You can discover your customers. So this is majorly about getting the customers from all the sources or from all the channels into your banking purview. This what we call is sales maximization platform, and it is live with 15 customers, out of which 14 are in India and 1 global. So then the next product which we are looking towards is the origination platform. This product will get live in June, where you can completely originate your customer, and this will the final one is the transactional based complete banking operating system, where you can transact all the services, which is payments or all the kind of transactions which are required. So the pricing which we have put it on completely transactional basis, so that a small institute as well as big banks, we can cover the complete purview so that they can use them. Now I'll skip this part. We are already live with customers, and we are getting more customers in March and April month. So for our revenue, we are already revenue generating with for this current financial year, as in India, from April 18 to Feb 19, we have already made a revenue of 300K, and our target is that by March 2020 we should achieve a MRR of 400K, and by March 2021 an MRR of 1.5 million. This is our journey. We launched the sales maximization platform in Feb 2019, and in June 2019 we'll be launching the origination platform, and the final banking operating system will get completely live in January 2021. These are some of our competitors. How we differentiate from our competitors is basically we take a marketplace approach. We are taking a digital approach rather than digitization, and the third is the experience layer which we are building.
Okay, thank you, Arpit. That was 5 minutes. So quickly from the judges, a question from the investors. We have a minute left.
So today the customers you have are buying the core banking solution from you and adding services, or are they today buying just solutions and linking them to their existing systems?
So today they are just buying the solution because it's very difficult for a startup today to say that, hey, I want to completely revolutionize or change your systems. Yeah. How do we pitch is that, hey, this is one peripheral solution, which is sales maximization platform. We want to increase your sales, or we want to transform the way in which your sales team is functioning. And this also gives us a leeway to enter or to create different products and get the customers early on, first to get revenues, and second to get the correct feedback to make the correct product.
But do you think that the banks, the incumbent banks, will ever be the right target for a complete solution and a marketplace-based approach? Or are you thinking about the banking, whatever, the new banking, digital banks, all these?
You have 10 seconds to answer that.
So the incumbent banks will come to the platform later on when they'll find value in onboarding, on getting onboarded to the platform. So when we have all the integrations available on our marketplace, then they will come in. Initially, we are not targeting them. Initially, we are targeting the challenger and the mid-size.
So about $80 to $100 billion are lost globally because of emotional health issues across the world. And this is not just because of productivity, right? You're stressed. You're also making wrong decisions because you're under stress or anger management issues. And sometimes it results in tragedy, like the German wings crash, where a pilot took down a plane as a suicide attempt, right? So this is a huge problem. And in the region, no one is focusing on this. What we are doing is emotional healthcare in the whole region, and we mean the Indian subcontinent and MENA, is inaccessible, is untraceable, so we don't know the issues and we don't know if it's helping people, right? And it's culturally inappropriate. And this is what Saaya Health is trying to help with. Now, we have easy access to well-being tools. We have our own app. We have our own technology. Very simple. You sign in, you schedule, and you take calls with our counselors and psychologists across the world. Now, what we're doing is we're making an intelligent EAP for cultural fit. Now, what does that mean? That means that we will be accessible in private. We will also be culturally geared. So we will be in Arabic, we'll be in Urdu, we'll be in Tamil if you need to be. And we have feedback loops which sort of stress map the organizations and tell you how to fix everything. The business model is very, very simple. It's a traditional EAP model, except it is empowered and enabled by tech. Right? So we have an X dollar per month per employee, but what we add to this is a USP of stress mapping and trends and consultation reports, because we have a dedicated team of therapists just for your organization. Essentially what this means is that we have a very high demand for this, and so we found product market fit. These are organizations that we're in various sales cycles with, or we have already closed sales with, right? And which essentially means we believe we can go to $100 million out of this $3 billion estimated market. Who is we? Is myself, with my 11 years of experience at Procter & Gamble and my MBA from IE University. It is my friend Alize, who is a mental health therapist herself and has started a few projects herself. It is my CTO, a Swedish-Pakistani gentleman who was among the people behind the Flight Radar as well. And we have the backing and the strategic backing of a lot of organizations across the world. This includes the International Islamic Association, this includes the Middle East Psychology Association, and we use them, and we use our experts, like Dr. Kerry York, based in Iowa, like Dr. Kriti Jain, based in Spain, who is an NCAD PhD, on how do we help organizations, not just with their emotional health, but we have a feedback loop to explain to them and consult with them how to fix their issues. So where are we today is essentially we started in June 2018 with an MVP, a pilot was completed, the tech is our own now. We are now at 4,500 users, acquired as of Jan 2019. We are in late stages to sign on a Fortune 50 company for the region, right, for these services. And hopefully, eventually, since we own the tech, we could do things like AI for screening, not for chatbots or anything like that, for screening. And for all of this, we're looking for $250,000 for a 15% equity. Thank you very much. It's 3 minutes, and I'd like your questions.
Well done there. That was exactly, or very close to 3 minutes. We've got 3 minutes, slightly less from the investors. Hassan.
So you threw me off right at the beginning when you said there's no competitors in the market, because we've invested in one and there's two others that I've seen.
Shazlong?
It's Shazlong. And then
but Shazlong does not do EAP. It's doing a marketplace for mental health. But it's not EAP. It's not for corporates. It's you go in and you just book a counselor and there's a rating and you just do it, right?
Okay, so
we were doing that. We pivoted away from it when we found that people like Procter & Gamble and Philip Morris are more interested in give us a team of therapists who speak the language and tell us what we should do to become better. Like emotional loop.
So now your business model is B2B?
B2B employee assistance programs.
Okay.
Right? Something that Lyra Health, so I mean, I didn't have this, but so essentially Lyra Health in North America is doing this. So this is, but that's North American EAP, and it's the ex-CFO of Facebook, right? He's doing it for North America. It's a very specific product.
Okay.
We hope to become that. Maybe that's our exit, hopefully.
All right, so that's the differentiating factor that you have.
This is the B2B market, by the way. So this B2C is packed. It's packed, like you say.
Yes,
right,
exactly.
100%,
Like,
totally packed.
Because that threw me off when you're like mental health, no one's doing it. I was that's
so
not
it's EAP.
true.
We're not playing in this market. It's packed. We're playing in this market.
All right, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
And so right now you're doing a B2B business model. How's your sales cycle and how are you acquiring these users, the businesses that you're trying to onboard right now?
So essentially, we're using our partners at the EDB to get HR directors and calls with HR people. I've been in the region for like all my life, so I have connections in Deloitte, PwC, etc. So we're using our own personal connections, and once we have big people like Procter & Gamble, so I worked with P&G for 11 years, right? They tap us into the other areas. So we're talking with AXA Insurance. So they own ICAS at the moment, but ICAS is a South African company, doesn't have a very good network in the region, and does not use tech at all, right?
And so do you see that differentiating factor being, something that the other more crowded space can't imitate and also pivot into?
So if you're already a marketplace and you have all of these things, you don't have that sort of, we're giving you a team. So essentially we have our first pilot, right? We have a big university with 4,500 students. And what we do is, here's 6 counselors, 24 hours a week, right? So 24 hours in the whole week. And essentially we feedback what's wrong and what's right. This is a different operational model. If you're already in the market space like chaise longue, why would you do that? And also the sales cycle is a bit longer, right? I mean, the subscription model is better.
Less crowded space, as you say.
It's less crowded, yeah, it's less crowded space, but also it's a subscription. So it's essentially, for example, X dollars per employee per month. There you go. And nobody's doing it for the MENA region. There are companies operating in the region, but they're not companies that I have, established in the region.
So nice to be the last one. So Baitoka, you're home away from home, or quite simply put, it's the Arabic attempt of an Airbnb. How many of you are familiar with Airbnb by raise of hand? Oh, that's going to make my life much easier. So in my presentation, I'm going to talk about 2 types of customers that we interact with. It's the host and the guest. Obviously, the host is the person who owns the apartment, the person holding the keys. And the guest is the person who is looking for an apartment for short-term lease. What's the problem? Both of my customers face a big problem. To start with the hosts, the current real estate market condition overall in the GCC is quite difficult. Anybody who owns a property is finding it difficult to sell, lease it. So it's a very difficult market, and short-term lease is a very good solution. Anybody who did that investments 3-4 years ago and is now doing a long-term lease, the return on investment comparing to a short-term lease, we're yielding about 1.4 to 1.6 higher returns on investment for those real estate owners. And the last but not least, property owners who are already on Airbnb are losing roughly about $1,000 a year. Basically, all the transactions are handled through the US office, so you're receiving money in US dollars and very high transfer fees to roughly a $25 loss per booking. If you count that into a year, that's about $1,000 a year. What's the problem with our guests? So we're known to have one of the highest number of people per household. We need a big space. When you look at hotels, an average hotel room is anywhere between 25 to 45 square meter, nowhere enough for our guests. So having an apartment, having that space, having a kitchen is a great added value. Currently there is no portal in Arabic language. I'm sure that is temporary, but Airbnb doesn't even cater to Arabic language yet. Price, obviously. Hotels are way more expensive than your average apartment that you're renting. So these 3 solutions are where we come in. Basically, what we're doing is an Arabic-speaking web platform that connects travelers to hosts in the Middle East. We're looking to save some money for the traveler. We're looking to make more money for the apartment owner. And we're looking to share a bit of Arabian hospitality. We're quite known for hospitality. This is our thing. And just by giving you a small example with one of the hosts we're experimenting with, we're offering every guest a mug of Arabic coffee as a welcome. And that small thing is making a big impact. People are talking about those small impacts that we're changing. Let's look a bit at the market. So today, this is 2017 statistics, and I'm using the Dubai market as an example. 6,000 properties listed. 185 is the average price of those properties. How does Airbnb monetize? They take a 10% commission fee from the guest. And they claim to have 90,000 guests in Dubai alone in 2017. I'm sure that number has doubled by today. We're looking at a 1.5 million revenue just in Dubai. Baitoka is currently where we are today. We have a fully functional website that's just launched. It's a mobile-friendly, obviously available in Arabic language. We have a very active and engaged social media following, about 17,000 followers. And we've just launched our IP-based solution for language and currency. We found a lot of people are not very happy by seeing a US dollar pricing when they're looking at a property in Saudi Arabia, for example. What do we want to do in 2019? And that's the most interesting part of my presentation. We want to partner with a food delivery company to be able to give you a local breakfast experience. So I found out that a lot of people love hotels due to the breakfast. We're going to offer something even better. I stay at an apartment in Bahrain. I get a Haji Hassan breakfast. I stay in an apartment in Jordan. I get a Hashem breakfast. So it's a touch of the local breakfast. We found out that our hosts are quite different than the ones in Europe and the US. It's their second or third property. They don't want to be involved. So we want to automate the cleaning service. We want to get out that involvement of the host owner. The moment the guest checks out, a cleaning company checks in, cleans the apartment, and hands over to the next guest. Obviously, easy payout solutions to avoid the loss of money that they're facing with Airbnb and attract our first hosts. Who's behind the team? It's myself.
Okay. Basel, that's 5 minutes, right?
Cool, thank you.
Sorry. Guys, questions, please.
So a question I have is, obviously Airbnb is in the same space. What will stop them from trying to, competing with you directly, and how will you protect yourself? Like if they try to create something more localized for the region, what are the barriers, to entry and what, into the region, and will be your competitive advantage?
They are already in the region. The barrier is that they're not going to change their worldwide structure to adjust for the Middle East. So they're not going to automate cleaning just in the Middle East on their whole platform just to serve for this. They might launch in Arabic language, and that's not really our competitive advantage. That's something that we have over them today, but that's not going to be forever, obviously.
Right, but you're saying that people will rent properties because of the cleaning service? I think that's sort of an auxiliary, secondary service. It's more about, I guess, the price and quality. So on that level, on the core business, how do you envision? Will you coexist? Will you compete directly? What's the differentiator there?
We're offering a full experience. At the end of the day, Airbnb is just you rent the apartment, you get it, you check out, you're done. With us, it's more of you get a traditional breakfast, you get your coffee at welcome. So there is a touch of Arabian hospitality, and that's a big differentiator from a guest perspective. From a host perspective, you're still losing less money on your transaction fees and your transfer fees.